affect our everyday lives. This show is presented by Rising Voices of Politics and founded by Reverend Michael Campbell with one goal in mind: give the people the mic. And when we say the people, we mean everybody. Young folks with big ideas, creatives with something to say, parents holding it down, leaders in the making, and anyone who's ever felt like their voice didn't matter. Trust, it does. No fake debates, no talking down, no boring energy, just real conversations, good vibes and perspectives that feel like home. Catch us live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on YouTube and social media by searching The People's Voice, DC, or Rising Voices of Politics. Miss the live show? It drops the same night at risingvoicesdc.org, and you can listen anytime on Spotify. So whether you're on your phone, in the car, in the dorm, or just trying to feel connected, tap in, tune in, and be part of something bigger. This is The People's Voice, DC, the city, the culture, the conversation. And yeah, the people got something to say.
Welcome to this week's edition of The People's Voice DC. You might have seen a little bit of that intro video at the end. We got to highlight something. DC, we have waited a long time. I think his name is forbidden to say in DC, but we haven't had the number one pick for our Washington Wizards since the forbidden Kwame Brown. Listen, I know that name might bring nightmares. That name might, bring up some trauma. That's that MJ point, that MJ DC era, but listen, it's a different squad. Hey, my man AJ, I saw you, after they announced the pick, you act like they didn't want to come to DC, acting all sad. Let me explain something to you about my city. Ask John Wall, once you touch down in DC, you will not be the same. So we're excited for you to come through, AJ. Listen. Let's not make another Michael Jordan, Kwame Brown decision. We all love Boozer. I believe he's going to have a great career in the NBA. He's not number one pick. He's not number one pick worthy. DC, we have to get this right. I mean, we got a squad we done put together. We got my man Trae Young. We got my man AD, hopefully you'll play at least 40 games for us this year. But listen, we have a playoff team. The number one pick just adds to it. KD, what's up? Coming to DC. LeBron, contract up. Come on to DC. Listen, we are building something special right here in DC. Listen, I'm going to be at the NFL draft next year. I don't know about y'all, but I'll be at the NFL draft around about this time next spring. Okay. After that, in a couple of years after that, I'll be at the stadium. I also want to be able to go to Capital One Arena during playoff time. I'm a Knicks fan. Y'all know how I love my Knicks, but I like my DC squads too. Speaking of the Knicks, did you see us bring out the brooms? Did you see my man Jalen Big Body Brunson out there showing off? Did you see my man Cat Carl Anthony Towns out there just taking people to school? I mean, man, you look all in the stands, there's no Philly fans. It's all New York fans. Listen, this is our year. OKC, watch out. I know everybody picking OKC to win the championship. This is the year of the New York Knickerbockers. We are the New York Knicks. But listen, we got a great show. We got a great show coming. I got Dr. Jock Patterson in the back, and he will be with you right after this.
Policies don't always recognize our teachers and our schools the way they should. The way that they're doing this currently, our charters are going to get shortchanged $187 million. That's unfair. That is just unfair for all the people that I'm looking at and seeing that I know as friends. All these great students that are right behind me from Statesman, come on behind me, you guys. They deserve to make sure there is equity. People throw that word around so much, but they don't always mean it. We're here to make sure that when you talk about educational equity, that you actually put your money where your mouth is, right? Put your money where your mouth is. Don't say you believe in equity and leave out basically 48% of the schools that need and serve our children every
Dr. Jock, how are you?
I appreciate that video. How we doing today, Pastor Mike? How we
Doing
doing?
pretty good, doing pretty good.
Good.
Listen, man, you were speaking, you was dropping dimes, and
Hey.
you know, as someone who works at a charter school, shout out to Monument Public Charter School, Monument Academy,
All right.
and had to experience the effects of those dollars being cut firsthand. You know, I appreciate you just speaking up. You know, it was a great friend of mine that we both know, Dr. LaJoy, who came to me and she said, you know, you got to stop this. And I'm like, what do you mean? This public school money versus charter school money. This is nonsense. You're affecting the kids. And I'm like, LaJoy, but da 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 da. And she's like, no, it's not about politics. It's about these kids. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you for helping me see the right way.
Right. Right.
So yeah, man, how's it going, brother?
It's going well. It's going well. But I want to give LaJoy, Dr. LaJoy Johnson Law, her
Yes.
props. We get to talk every day and stuff like that. She's a great colleague. We've known each other since her daughter Abria was actually about 4 or 5 years old. And so we've known her. I've watched her grow and everything like that. But she's an amazing person to have as a friend and as an advisor. She's one of my best confidants, and she's helping me through this campaign in a way. She's endorsed me since we're going to get into the campaign. It's going well. We feel good, and I'll tell you why we feel good, Pastor Mike. Pastor Mike, you know, for the first time, what we'll have, and we need to keep emphasizing this, is we'll have ranked choice voting.
Yes.
And that's going to make a big difference. In the past, people was like, oh, you know, rank me or select me because, you know, on the ballot, and you just had to worry about, you know, you being the only person that they picked. But now, if no one gets 51% in the first round, which probably no race will have that type of person, then you start rolling up votes. And so it matters if someone places you second or if they place you third or whatever the case may be. In a 9-person race like we have in the Democratic race for at large, they got 9 people. So every round,
Yes.
somebody's going to drop off, right? And so you need people ranking you high so you stay in the numbers and don't fall off. And so this is going to be a critical race. This is going to be a critical race for everybody. We feel very, very good about where we sit right now. You know, Pastor Mike, I got 30 years in the game. I've been out here in these streets working hard, being an ANC, serving on the State Board of Education, serving on different boards throughout the city and stuff, fighting like you showed the video, you know, for the things that so I think that resonates with people, and those people are going to show up at the poll on June 16th.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the 30 years, you know, I was going through some videos and I was like, man, this from 15 years ago. Like, why? My man been out here, you know?
I appreciate that.
But yeah, man, I definitely can attest to that. I definitely, since the time I've known you, have seen you, you know, out there. So, you know, just a common question that I think I've asked everyone on the show, you know, that progression in your career. What caused you to get into this fight? What makes you feel like you are indeed the best candidate, and we need a Jock Patterson on our council?
Right. And I appreciate the question, Pastor Mike. The biggest thing is that I have been here. I have done the work. I've been out there learning for the longest. One of the candidates we had before got voted out of office. I don't know why they think that if someone votes you out of office that you should come back again. But, you know, Ms. Silverman believes that she's going to bring something new or something that she didn't do in 8 years before. I don't get it, but I don't think we should go in that direction. I really like Donnie Crawford, the other young lady who's the interim currently right now. I just think that just needs a little bit more time to understand the city and how it works. I think she's a great mind and a great policy person, but I don't think she's been out here in these streets. And I think we're at a critical juncture where people who have been here and fought the fight are being edged out for the concerns of people who had just arrived. And we need to make sure that those individuals who have been in the fight, I was up in Ward 1 on Fairmont, right? And I was talking to people I worked with at Martha's Table. And Ward 1 is so different than the Ward 1 when I worked at Martha's Table. And those people feel like they have no representative whatsoever. Not a council member. The ANCs have changed. The Democratic people that are on the Democratic State Committee don't really represent their issues because they've been here for so long, but at the same time, their issues are not the same. So I believe I'm the right person because I'm that bridge. If we want to say it, in a way, a metaphorical way, I'm that bridge that will be able to make sure that those who are just getting to the city and they want things to happen, they want it to be hold people accountable, and those who needed a long time ago for it to be accountable, can still hold this city accountable. I'm that person. I'm the accountability person.
I appreciate you saying that. Many know that I have a 85-year-old grandfather who lives right in Ward 1 on 14th Street near the U Street corridor. And that is often how he feels, that he has been forgotten, that he has no representation, and that everything is happening for those who are coming in to our city. But I guess the question would be, it's no secret. I've been happily dating a young queen. My lovely,
congratulations.
and she, my lady is I always tease her on Facebook and social media, and I call her my vegan gentrifier. She is from, she's from New York City, and she moved to DC, to go to Howard University, and decided to stay. But I find that an issue that we have just in our own relationship when we talk about things. She just moved to DC and she wants to see this done, that done. She wants this to be happening and that to be happening. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, we can't do that. Like, you forgot about us over here and this. And so it's like, we have to really find a way, because they are residents, they are constituents, they do live in the city, pay taxes, unfortunately without representation, but pay taxes in this city. So how do we balance? Hey, look, this is what we understand that some of our new residents may desire and may want, but we also have to make sure that we're not pushing out the ones who have built this city and who have paved the way and who have endured in this city. How do we balance this?
Right. We do that because there are certain things that transcend, when you got here, if you're a native Washingtonian or if you came here by way of your job or something else. There are things that transcend that. Things that transcend that they all people want, is accountability. Let's start there. They want their government officials to be accountable, to be present, to show up where they need to be, and then hold them accountable. Accountability goes across every line, every grouping, every demographic, affordability. It goes across every line. Whether you're a senior citizen who is on a fixed income that have been here forever, like your grandparent, or you're a new person like my daughter, she's been here for a long period of time, but can't afford to buy a house, but she's been here and was raised here in Ward 8, right? So there are certain things that transcend all these different demographics that we have to make sure. We have to make sure that people only not feel safe, but they are safe. Okay, so public safety transcends that. We know that, at some particular time, you may decide that you want to have a young baby. You want to make sure that someone is here to carry on that legacy, to carry on that Campbell name, right? So you want a great school, right? So I'm going to be working for those great schools. Those are certain things. That's how you balance that. But you have to take in mind the people who have paved the way for you to get to that point. It can't be just all quantified on the people who just got here. Right? Because their needs are a little bit different. We often talk about, okay, do we really need dog parks? Do we really need, and we go into all these different things that are, some people who just got here, they love the dog parks. Hey, I appreciate that. People like bike lanes. I can appreciate that too. But is that the main concern for some of my residents who need to park closer to their house and they need to make sure that they have the proper parking and the ways to get up there? So there is a balance. And we have to make sure that what we do is prioritize those things in our budgets, making sure we take care of our seniors, but that we're generating things that's going to be fun for you. We got to create new businesses, places for you to recreate. That's how I look at this and make sure that I'm a person that can serve the whole entire city. I'm a Ward 8 resident, but I think I play just as well in Ward 3, Ward 2. So, yeah.
I like that. Good response. Good response. Good response. I wanted to bring up something. I'm gonna show it right here because you brought it. You kind of ushered in this conversation. On your website, this is some things that when you talk about your issues, you say you will support initiatives that expand behavioral health and public safety partnerships that connect residents to services and crisis support. You will invest in youth employment, career pathway programs. You will improve transportation and modernize public facilities with energy efficient upgrades that reduce long-term operating costs.
All right.
In all, we have some very, very critical needs. You were just we just showed a not testimony, but you I guess rallying.
It was a rally in front of the Wilson building. Yes, sir.
Yeah, about the budget. And we're in the midst of a huge, we're seeing some huge cuts right now during this budget season. So, I mean, how are you going to be able to do this?
Okay. The biggest thing is, and please leave that up so I can go down the list and make sure I answer all your questions right here that I've actually put on my page. But the balance is this, okay? There are going to be things where we're going to have to make cuts, and we're going to have to actually look on if you can deliver on what you have a contract for. We have a lot of nonprofits out here, and I love all of our nonprofits, but are those nonprofits delivering on what their deliverables are? If you're not doing that work, we have to reevaluate if you're going to be funded every single year. And that's just the truth. We're going to be having the toughest budgets that we've ever had in about 25 years since I first moved here in 95, which is 31 years ago. We're going to have some tough budgets, and we have to make tough decisions. And that means that we're going to have to cut in areas where people aren't being effective and being efficient. So that's how we balance some of that to make sure that we are funding the things that we need. When I look at these 4 things that are highlighted right here, one of my projects that I really work on, and that actually they were giving testimony to it just a few days ago, is community schools. Community schools concentrate the resources we need at the one place everybody goes to, school, right? Regardless of your demographic, your ethnicity, how long you've been here, what your economics are, if you live in Ward 8 or if you live in Ward 3 or Ward 2, you more than likely either go to school, have some interactions with schools or whatever case may be, right? And so a lot of our families need to be able to get the resources they need from that school. They need to be concentrated there. And for that means that we need to have community schools. We need to have the behavioral health there at our schools to make sure, not only just for the children, but for the families and the educators, okay? My daughter's a teacher, as I said previously. We need to make sure, we need to concentrate that there. We need to make sure that the services are there, that it's a one-stop place where people can actually come and get what they need and not feel like, I'm being scrutinized because I'm stopping to get these social services that I need. If we start having more community schools and we rate them on basically what is your population of disadvantaged or Title I children, I'm going to be fighting hard for most of our schools, specifically those east of the river, becoming community schools or having a community school model. And to give you an example of how much it's worked, you look in Baltimore. Baltimore has 600 community schools. Okay, I believe that's the number when they came and testified for us. And the thing about it, that has dropped crime, absenteeism, truancy. It's improved academic performance. It's really making an impact. And it's not costing the government a whole bunch of new money because what you're doing is bringing services. You're centralizing the service to where people can get to them and need them. That's what you're really doing. And so for me, when I look down this list of things, that's why, it's important to me that we have community schools, because that allows me to get into the behavioral health, investing in employment and career pathways, because we can make sure, because we have adult learning, making sure that they get the things that they need at those particular schools, Community schools is probably the most effective and efficient way that we can address a lot of these things.
Got it. Just diving a little bit more into our schools as you were talking about them. Here's a graphic just talking about the percentage of DC fourth graders that are reading on grade level. Now we see that Ward 2 and 3 are kind of doing okay, sort of. But east of the river, Ward 8, Ward 7, Ward 5, not so great, and so in addition to the ideas of the community schools, I know personally, our kids just aren't getting it with the way we're doing it. I'm tired of working in the education field and feeling like I don't know what else I can possibly do to help our kids, not necessarily learn, but to help our kids be excited about learning and want to learn. It needs, there's that word community again. There needs to be more of a community effort in it. Sometimes I feel like I'm the baby father at times. I mean, like, what can we do to address this issue?
I get it. And I'm gonna say some figures and then I'm gonna answer your question, but I want to throw some figures out to you, Pastor Mike, real quick. We have a graduation rate of 79%. And I keep saying this and I'm gonna say it until people really understand the situation we're in. We have a graduation rate that is 79%, okay? But we have a career and college readiness rate that is 16%. Now that is a 63% difference, okay? When you add the 21% that don't even graduate, now we're at 84% of our children are not career or college ready by the time they leave the District of Columbia school system, okay? That is atrocious. That is something nobody wants to say out loud, but that's the crisis that's happening. And particularly, you just showed a graphic, east of the river, more so than anything. So that graduation rate is ballooned by the people that's on the other side of the river, probably the other side of the park as well, right? So now we're talking about even worse when you come east of the river, right? The proficiency rate is deplorable, okay? At some point, we have to stop talking about growth and where we get children in to as far as proficient. Now, I'm a person, I was recently asked a question, Mike, and I think this goes to your question. How do we get there? And I think one of the biggest things is when you're in the third grade and it's discovered that you are not proficient in math and reading, we need to really consider, do we hold those children back? Because all we're doing after that point, if they're not, is kicking the can down the road, the educational inequity can down the road. And if you're in education, you're being asked to catch up to kids. My daughter, I reference her a lot. When you have a 22, 23 students, right? And a majority of them are not on grade level, right? We have 3 or 4 that's on grade level, going by the percentages, but you're teaching things that are but you're supposed to be catching those students up at the same time. It's a tremendous ask on top of what you said. I'm the dad, I'm the social worker, I'm the disciplinarian for some of the kids, I'm the person that love on them and build confidence. I'm the mental health person for the child and everything, because my daughter calls me, she tells me kids that are going through, she's called me crying about children who are going through things and doing self-harm and things like that. And it just bothers her spirit. Again, community schools, because we need to take that burden off y'all. Y'all can't be all that. And we cannot expect you to catch up children that are 2, 3, 4, 5 grades behind. We can't. That's not fair to educators. We have to attack the root cause. If a child is not proficient in the third grade, we need to address it at the third grade. Not kick the can down the thing. Now we're talking about a whole different environment and a whole different group of kids, because then the teachers are teaching the people who are proficient. The kids feel better because they can actually do things in class. You won't have the disruption that you're having in the class. A lot of this stems from proficiency, and it just gets worse. It just gets worse. You have schools. We have high schools. I won't call them out. We have high schools that have a 1% proficiency rate east of the river.
Yes.
I'm gonna say that again. 1%. Believe me. And nobody talks about it. And they graduate that child. And if grandma comes, you know how we graduation. Everybody comes. We have people come from out of town. I've been to so many graduations. People be begging me when I was at KIPP, begging me for tickets, right? Jock, can I get 10 more tickets? 10 more tickets? Because the auntie is coming from the West Coast to come to the graduation. Graduation is huge. Child's not proficient. They're gonna go to college and have to take remedial classes that you can't afford, or they're gonna apply for a job that they're not ready for. We're doing them a disservice. We have to do better. Education, and the reason why I'm on the State Board of Education, and the reason why I need a council, is because the council under mayoral control does a lot more than what the State Board of Education does. And I need to be there to start addressing some of these issues that we have going on in our schools. It's that easy.
Well, let me ask you about that. Do you think that the mayor should have control? Or do you believe that the control should be centralized in a traditional State Board of Education?
Pastor Mike, I've been here long enough to see all the systems that we've had. Okay, when I arrived in '95, we had a traditional school board, had all the authority, it had facilities, it ordered all the stuff. It had a lot of power, right? And the reason that we went to mayoral control, it didn't just up and pop up and people just said, okay, let's do this new thing, is because of the shape we're in. We're in a horrific state. We were 51st out of 50 states. Okay. We will be a state at some point, but we were 51st as far as how we were performing. We couldn't get books out to folks because, we didn't have all electronics that we have now. When I first got here, they were in a warehouse somewhere stacked up, right? We couldn't pass fire codes. There were so many things that were happening. And that was the rationale behind it. Let's put it underneath the mayor because she's over all the agencies that we can address some of the issues. Now, something's in a building, DGS is supposed to fix it, right? At least for the DCPS schools, right? And you centralize all the services to the school is what they're saying. It centralizes a lot of the back work is what you do, okay? And I believe in that. I agree with that. Mayoral control is effective at that. Are we always responsive? That's because if you get a mayor who education is not their big issue, I won't say no names, that's not their focus, people get mad because they see problems and they're the person that's supposed to where the buck stops, but you're not picking up the phone or you're not addressing the way that we would like you to address the issue, or those underneath you are not doing it, whether it's the deputy mayor or the chancellor. Therein lies the problem. It's not the actual thing that's happening, it's just how it's working. Is people being responsible? Are they actually doing a thing? So I do believe in mayoral control. Long story short, I do believe in mayoral control. I think that's where we can be the most effective and make the most change when you have a mayor that is really education focused.
I like it. Makes sense. We're going to take a quick break as we dive into our crime talk. And we're going to watch this short video while we break. We'll see you after this.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. We're going to go now to Randy Hildreth at the King Greenleaf Rec Center in Southwest.
Yeah, so this is just a few blocks away from where we've seen some of these teen takeovers recently. And Randy, what do they have planned there tonight for these teens?
Yeah, good evening to you both. So they have an event scheduled for teens to have them come here instead of potentially participating in those teen takeovers that we've seen. Earlier this week, I had a chance to talk with the director of DC's Department of Parks and Rec, and she says they are trying to be responsive to those teen takeovers. MPD says it's aware of a flyer circulating online right now promoting teen takeovers. So again, the idea is that they create events and teens come here instead of potentially getting in trouble. Now, I want to give you the lay of the land. I'm in the field right outside of the rec center. I'll step to the side so you can see all the action getting set up. So right behind me, we have some tents going up in preparation for tonight's event. I'm told some snacks and some food items will be set up there. We have the open field. And in the far right corner of this field, we have some games being set up. It looks like they're getting ready to blow up some tents and things for students to be able to take advantage of. And we have a stage being set up. All of this free for students. And again, the director of DC's Department of Parks and Rec saying that if they create these opportunities, they're hoping teens come here instead of potentially getting in trouble.
The goal is to change the narrative and to get our teens to lock in into owning that this is your city and you have to take care of it.
And again, as Sarah mentioned, this event is happening as the city debates whether to extend its special juvenile curfew zones, which expires April 15th. Mayor Bowser supports an extension, saying it deters dangerous and destructive behavior. But some council members say the city needs to put more into investments in programming and resources for young people. This is an example of what the city, again, is trying to do to get teens off and out of those teen takeovers and other opportunities for them to engage in safe activities. This event, again, free, kicks off at 6 o'clock and will run until 10 p.m. For now, sending it back to you live tonight, Randy Hildreth, WUSA 9.
Get to have a late night on a Friday too, huh? Until 10 p.m.
Yeah,
Got the
not
popcorn
bad.
machine behind you, food and
I was
everything.
going to say, if you've got food, you might be able to make this work.
Shout out to Channel 9 News for that clip. That was a couple of Fridays ago, but I definitely wanted to play that. There's been a huge discussion going on about curfews. And just FYI for all of our listeners, teen takeovers aren't just happening in DC. They're happening all over the country.
Across the country.
And I partially blame social media. I have students who literally done pranks on me, and when I'm about to write them up or like what's going on, they're like, no, they show me on TikTok. Oh, this is what we do on TikTok. I'm like, this is a trend. Don't try this trend on me ever again, like. But what do we do? It's almost like half of our city expects us to arrest our way out of this problem, and the other half may be a little bit too lenient. I don't know. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, when the first one happened, I looked up a quote. Not my quote; it's an African quote. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. After I said that in one of my videos after the first takeover, I had our council member, Tran White, use it when they were just talking about the curfews, a little quoted as well. And that's basically what we have here right now. So it's a both and to answer your question quickly and stuff like that. We didn't get here overnight. What you're seeing is a reaction. Okay, takeovers are a reaction to the disinvestment in programs for teens, okay? Especially coming out of COVID when they needed it the most, okay? Kids locked away for 18 months. That does something to your mental health. That does something to your ability to socialize when you've been on a computer and a phone for 18 months communicating with folks, right? Okay? And we're defunding stuff. We're defunding things like DBH. Right now in this budget, we're defunding DBH when we need a Department of Behavioral Health when we need it the most, right? So kids have school programming. The ones that's still there is too expensive for kids, right? So what do I have to do? We're talking about DPR. They've done a lot of great. I love Beanie Free and stuff like that. Even there, some of those things have been, underfunded. I think she needs more money, not less. And so kids act out. They're responding. They want to feel the city really cares about them. And they'll burn it down just to feel the warmth that they've been deprived of through all these various programs. You're out here even cutting the amount of money that you pay the summer job program. Do you know kids don't get a minimum wage for working in Marionberry summer job program? How do you say to a child that you're not going to give them minimum wage for a job? Those are the type of things they do, and they don't think kids will respond to that.
I actually have had kids. Come up. I'm gonna let you finish. But actually, I've had kids come up to me and say, "Why would I stop hustling just to make this little bit of money?
Right.
That's less than minimum wage."
Right.
And so it's like, man, but I'm trying to justify, and in my head, I'm like, man, the kid got a point. We need to pay these kids more,
right.
But
see,
it's sad.
Politics.
It hurts us.
That's the politics of it. So you can say, I have more kids in the program, but I'm paying them less. No, you really don't. You have probably the kids who have parents who can afford for them to be there for the summer and just needs them to do something to earn a little extra money and think it's cute because they can add it to their transcripts and everything later when they apply to college. But the average kid who comes from Southeast and stuff like that, like, I can't do that because that's not enough money for me. That's not going to help me. Yeah. That's not the intention of what Marion Barry created this for. We've lost that. Okay, so going back to the curfew and everything like that, the things is you're getting a reaction from children from disinvestment in programs that affect them every day in their lives. That's what you're seeing with teen takeover. Now, the teen curfews, when people argue about and all these type of things, there still is an accountability factor that goes with this, okay? Even though you're angry, you can't just act out. You can't shut stuff down. That's not allowable. That's just not allowable. You can't, stop everybody else's quality of life because you're mad. There's a way to go about protesting and doing things to make sure you get the proper funding. Teen takeovers put kids in a lot of bad places where things can escalate and they can be hurt. So I do believe in zone. We start programming because we're not just going to do it overnight, but just a periodic period of time where we say these zones at 8 o'clock, we're going to have a curfew on these zones, not the whole city, on these zones. And I agree with that until we start investing, and that's going to take some time. We didn't get into it overnight in the programmatic things that would allow kids to do the type of programs that they want. We should be having midnight basketball. We should be having all type of arts programs for our children. We have the most creative children and have created the most vibrant culture in the world. We're the programming for them. We have entrepreneurs. We have kids that are so creative and financially, astute that they can start businesses. Why aren't we investing in programs that allow them to do that keeps them not having to do a teen takeover, but how they're going to start the next business? That's where we have to do a better job. But that means we're going to have to prioritize our money, our budgeting, not on the overrun and the overtime of MPD officers, because that's what we have. That's where most of our money is going. We have so much overtime that's going to MPD officers. It's crazy. It could fund departments almost, right? That's how much we're spending on MPD overtime, which creates bad morale. Patients, they're overworked, they run into a team. Our teams are who they are. They're going to say something to you, something to them. Now we got a situation, right? Because we're all off of where we're putting our money and what we're investing in. So that's my take on that, sir.
I like that you mentioned midnight basketball. I've definitely been trying to get some stuff started, recruit some people. So hey man, listen, I gotta send you a flyer too. Let's get together. I've been trying. I've had this. And let me say this. It's not just my unique idea. It's been done before. It's been proven to work. Yes. So it's just something that I feel like we can do more of, that we can not just do it in Ward 8, but also include Ward 7 and 5. And I believe that, it could be very, very beneficial and successful. So, and then midnight basketball isn't where the buck stops, but it's just one thing that can be done,
It's one of those programs that had a history of doing well. I would also suggest that we also have boxing. I think boxing could be prolific in this city if we done it correctly throughout our recreation centers, and so we could have the tournaments and start building the teams to send people. There's a young lady that lives on Stanton, not that far away from me. Westina is a person that I know from Rocket Ship days when I worked at Rocket Ship. Her daughter is like one of the number one ranked people in the city. We need to promote that. We need to make sure that we're doing that. I did a program over the summer where we did boxing, and we had at the Auto Zone on 8th Street. On the 8th Street corridor, Northeast. A lot of kids showed up. There's a lot of enthusiasm. Those is where we should channel our money for you. Making sure that they have creative things to do or things that they're super interested in and they know we're investing in them, as opposed to we're going to have these curfews and that's all we're going to do. Because that sends the wrong message to them that we care about the other people, not them.
Absolutely. Now, what I didn't hear you speak about was the violence prevention and violence interruption programs. it's something that's also caused a great divide in our city. We even have allegations against a current council member in that area. Do you support? Do you think they are effective, our violence interruption programs?
I'll be succinct about this, Pastor Mike, because I've worked with violent interruption groups. I've hired violent interrupters. There are good ones and well-trained ones, and there are ones that are not good. Okay. Most of the time when you hear a complaint about a violent interrupter being on their phone or not doing things or not engaging, those are not well-trained. When you get a good trained one, and yes, I'm going to go ahead and say the name, Growing Up, which is in Ward 5, led by Boye and some others over there in the Ivy City area. They're very effective, okay? Because we had a kid that was killed right in front of KIPP a few years back, right after the pandemic, right on Brentwood, right, northeast, right? And they were able to bring crime down 40% because what they did is they were trained, they coordinated with MPD, they coordinated with the teachers inside the school and the principal. They were allowed to go in and say, hey, y'all had a football game this weekend and such was beefing over this female, and y'all need to be ready for that to come back into the school. And so when you have well-trained ones that have serious coordination and are not just turned to our turf and we're not going to talk to anybody because we want the contract, it can't be that divisive about, who owns what contract. It has to be a very coordinated and trained group of violent interrupters. When that happens, you have a very good program, a very well-equipped program to combat students who, as you said earlier, are smarter than we are in communications, because they'll get anything than you can ever think of. The military operations, things around like we've never seen.
Yes.
I was in the military 29 years. They have better command control and communications than I've seen in the military as far as when they want to move things around, just like they do with team takeover. They coordinate. They know how to move.
Yes.
And so if we're going to stop that, we have to have coordination on our side to be proactive. That's getting intel about things that are happening between different groups. But see, we don't do that well because everybody's protecting a contract or their turf. I'm MPD. Well, I'm the teacher. Right? Stuff like that. Well, I'm this person. And they don't work very well together. But when they work together, you see the reduction that you need to interrupt and the interrupt ramps.
Very, very good to hear. I don't know if anybody knows this, but a few months ago, me and my brother, me and the doctor, should I say, we did a video, and I let everybody know, hey, look, I don't do endorsements, but if I could,
you could,
I would definitely
you're a nonprofit,
endorse Dr. Jack Patterson.
I appreciate that. I'll take that as a serious non-endorsement. Appreciate that because what I will see, Pastor Mike, is that we say it at the top of the program that I've been in this for 30 years, and all of that time has been about community work. And that again makes me the best candidate because I've been in the community. I'm not a person that comes from just doing policy work, and I can't. Policies, not a person who only attends to one part of the city and have my own ideas of how things do work. I've been in the community for 30 years. I raised my family community. I go to the Giant or Alabama and Stanton and talk to kids there. There's a reason why there is an Andrews Federal Credit Union on the corner of Alabama Stanton because I got it there. Because I believed in the community. We're going to cash checking places. People don't know that. There's a reason why Martha's Table is now east of the river as opposed to on 14th Street, because I used to work at Martha's Table and all our people were coming over there, catching buses. We live in a food desert, so we got it moved. There's a reason, because I've been in the community. And that's why, again, I'm going to keep saying it to people. I'm the best situated to be the next council member because I've been in the community. The community gives me my experience, my lived experience about how I'm going to budget, how I'm going to legislate, which are the jobs of a council member. I don't think the other ones have anywhere near the experience, the qualifications that I have. I've worked on boards and commissions that most people don't even know about. Housing Finance Agency, Veteran Affairs. I've been on all these different Historic Preservation Review Board. I've been on all these different things over my time period, which gives me insights, not just about Ward 8, because they weren't just Ward 8 issues, but citywide, you know.
Yes.
And I look at Alyssa Silverman and I go, you had failed policies when you were there, and you got voted out of office. I look at Donnie Crawford, who I think, again, is an amazing person, but I would have liked to see you marinate in the community a little bit more to inform your legislation like it does mine. I'm going to be a different type of council member, a council member who shows the heck up, goes to meetings. I think you know that. I go to meetings when there's only 3 or 4 gathered half the time, you know, and so that's the type of council member I'm going to be citywide.
Speaking of showing up, you know, this show, and to the credit of all of our great listeners, all of our Washington, D.C. residents, even those in the DMV, I you know, Maryland and Virginia pitching in, you know, but I have to say, you know, we have had a lot of candidates come on, and the ones who haven't come on, we have had responses, you know, maybe conflicts of schedule. I have to say this. Madam Silverman has not even responded to the show. She has been invited several times. She has told me in person she will appear on the show, but I have not received any response afterwards. So just throwing it out there, Madam Silverman. If you are a lady of your word, you know, just come on through. You know, we want to listen. This show was created. There are people who truly don't know our candidates, who truly don't pay attention to politics, but they look at the show to try to learn a little bit more.
Right.
So, I mean, if you say you care about our people, if you say you care about east of the river, and you know that there is a heavy amount of those people that watch and tune into this show, I would think that you would want to at least show face somewhere.
You would come to our meetings and not just be there because you're trying to like show a little something. Like I remember when Alyssa first started campaigning and she came to the Interfaith Breakfast, which we were at recently.
I remember.
Right? And I turned around to her, I said, what you running for?
First time ever.
And she's like, I literally turned around to her because this was last summer. I said, what are you running for? And she was like, oh, I'm just listening and learning and stuff like that. I'm like, you running for something. See, they'll come here when they trying to learn, you know, who doing what and who's moving and stuff like that. But to talk to us about our real problems and to really build the type of relationship that's going to move us forward, I don't think Alyssa Silverman has ever had that amount of respect for our community. And I'm going to say that categorically. I'm not going to, you know, I love Donnie and I keep saying this. I think she is a wonderful person. I think she has a sweet heart and everything like that. So I don't begrudge her anything. But Silverman, no. She is disrespectful to our community. Last time she ran, I literally had an engagement with her and told her I was going to be supporting the person who eventually beat her in that race because she had been very disrespectful to our community. Now this person wants to come back, and people are acting like it's okay. No, you were disrespectful then. You've always been disrespectful. You don't really engage our community, and you shouldn't get a free pass just because you are a former council member. You are a former failed council member is what I'll say. And so that's my problem with her running. And I'll say that as the candidate that is running against her, and that will defeat her because I believe we're going to win. But she has not been true to our community in a way that we need, especially as we have faced some of the budgets that we're about to face. I don't believe she will prioritize our community just like she's not prioritizing your show.
I totally agree with you. We got about 10 more minutes left. Before we go, I do want your quick reaction. Speaking of the council, there are 2 candidates running for mayor, and they have been throwing. Listen, I support one. We all know I support one. But listen, they have been throwing jabs at one another about what they did while on council in regards to our utilities. I would like your reaction right after this.
Okay.
Let's start with the basics. I think a lot of people don't understand that there's multiple things that go into their bill. They just see that number that they're responsible for at the end. What are the primary drivers of the bill?
Steve, in the simplest terms, we have two parts to the major parts of the bill. The delivery, that's for Pepco to bring the power to your home. And then we have the supply side, and that's independent of us and people that have power plants that make the power. So your bill is into two different components. It's about a 50-50 split. Back in January, when we had that 3 weeks of extreme cold, more than a decade, what we saw is our customers use on average 60% or more electricity that month. So when you mention seasonal, we're going to definitely see lower cost just because of less usage. But when it comes to this supply side and needing more power plants, it's going to be with us for a little while.
A word of advice, I guess, to consumers out there who might say, okay, I guess this is what I'm paying now. Maybe it's a little more than in the past. What can I do about it?
You know, a couple things there, Steve. One thing I would say, there's no decision we make on our side of the bill where we don't say what's the affordability and the customer benefit. But my advice would be customers taking a little bit more of an active role. You know, as simple as unplugging that toaster, doing the different things, keeping that thermostat down just a few degrees can make big differences. Don't want anybody to change their lifestyle, Steve, but
Shout out to Fox Local for that excerpt. Listen, that's an executive from Pepco. He's saying, listen, it's not us. Unplug your appliances. Don't use your microwave. Turn your heat down a little bit. I'm not sure if that was the right answer that I was looking for. Then we have council members who are saying, hey, listen, you could have done this. No, you could have voted for this. You could have introduced this. If you are a council member, what is the fix? How do we address this issue?
Well, first and foremost, I think when the council members go back and forth and we look at the legislation that recently came in front of them about bills and the right rate, and you had certain council members who voted to stop cutoff until the rates were, assured that they had the right, that they were charging the right rates. And you had council members who said, like, no, just keep billing them and stuff like that, which tells you a lot about where people are as far as who they really are working for and who they're supported by, right? I feel very strongly that, okay, at the end of the day, Pepco has to take more responsibility than Pepco has taken over the price. You can't just come to people and say, it's on you to unplug this or unplug that. Okay, we had that before and we were doing the same way. We had the same behaviors and our bill was not this high. So don't tell me it's all on me. My bill got higher and my behavior, I didn't have to unplug anything back then. It was a lot lower. So that logic does not actually, make me feel any better, right? It just doesn't make sense when you think about it from a user perspective. Pepco has to make sure that they're charging people the right rate. They are overcharging us. We are paying for things that are outside of our control, such as a lot of these places that are the cooling plants or whatever are using a lot of electricity around AI and those type of things people are talking about, which are outside of District of Columbia, but we get heaped into because Pepco is a regional entity, not just a DC thing. So we get heaped into all of those type of things. Pepco needs to charge a better price. They need to make sure that they're charging the rates are correct with all billing. Affordability it's a difficult thing in District of Columbia, and Pepco's got to do a lot better. Council members have to perform oversight. I'm not going to get into neither one of them. I know both of the mayoral candidates, the two leaders, so to speak, as people call them, two front runners. They are supporting different people in my race, so I have not decided on their race, right? Miss Crawford used to work for Mr. McDuffie, right? And right. I know that a lot of groups that support Miss Janice Lewis George are supporting Silverman. So I have not made a decision in that particular race because I'm like, look, if y'all ain't with me, how y'all want me to be with y'all? And so that's where I am with the mayoral race. But neither one of them can say they've done the most for residents. They did all that they could for residents around Pepco. They both could have done better when rates were before them, when they were approving certain things that came before them. I don't think either one of them can say, well, I voted on this and I did so much better than you. No, I don't think either one of them can. They both were there. They could have done better.
Can't argue with that. Totally agree that more could have been done on both sides. Before we close, I do want to mention our 2026 Ward 7 Juneteenth Parade on June 19th. We will start gathering at 9 o'clock and the parade will start at 11 o'clock. That is not 11 o'clock in our people's time. That's 11 o'clock. We will start on time. Amen.
Come on now.
So I definitely want everyone to come out for Juneteenth and just enjoy the celebration. Listen, we just had over in Ward 7 Nanny Helen birthday, and we had the Nanny Hellenborough parade. So that was amazing. I unfortunately could not attend. I was at our monthly faith leaders meeting, but I heard.
As was I. I was sitting next to you, sir. I was
right there next to you. Well, we learned about an issue that I will be addressing in an upcoming show, so stay tuned. I was made aware of the fact that in our city there is a focus on only planting male trees.
I heard that when Phil brought that. I did not know that was a real issue. I was sitting next to Phil when he brought that up. And I looked at him, I was like, male and female trees? I just thought they were trees. Totally something new for me, okay? I'm not that in depth of knowing, whatever we want to call it. I just don't know that area that well. And when he brought it up, but it was very interesting. And I look forward to looking into it as well. Phil has always been that person that he is so brilliant. You say what you want to about Phil. He can be a rat at some time. But Phil is one of the most brilliant people, and I can give him all the credit for starting my political career, but way back in the day, back in the early 2000s, because I was an ANC, and he asked me to run on his ticket when he was running for president of the Ward 8 Dems. And that's really was my start to in the District of Columbia, and it came all that credit. But he is a brilliant person, and it may sound at the pronouncement of it when he does it, but it's really good issues, and he's always been very strong on his issues and how to address things that truly impact our community. So I'm going to look more into this female male trees. Which ones are we planting? As we're just to understand it.
As will I, and I've already invited a few experts in the area on this show. So listen, this was a great show, brother. It was a long time in the making, and it was. I'm so glad that we were able to get you on finally, right on time for mail-in ballots to come on in the mail. So make sure that your mail-in ballots will be coming soon. Make sure that you vote Dr. Jock Patterson for at large.
Rank us number one. Rank us number one.
Rank number
we
one.
Have
Rank
choice voting. I need to be your number one choice. You can look at the other two, whether you want to put them 2 and 3, whatever, not rank them, but I need to be your number one.
Every time we mention ranked choice voting, I think about when I had the T-Mobile sidekick and I had people in my top 5,
That's exactly how it works. And the more you call that person, right, they move up, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing in IG. When you look at IG and you start seeing like your top people, it's because you're following them or you like something.
Yes.
Or they go to the top. Explained by Pastor Mike right there. There's your example.
Listen, man, I can't wait to see you some more. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow at the Ward 7 Education Forum.
You will see me there. There's been a lot of controversy over that, a lot of discussions about that, but I will be there. I am there as the at-large representative, not to replace any other representative that represents Ward 7, but to be accountable to the people who voted for me to be their at-large representative. That's why I'll be there.
See you then. And listen, we'll invite you back in on the show after you win, man, as a council member.
That's right. I'm coming back as the council member. You know what? Let me say this now. When I win, your show is the first show I'm coming to.
You've heard it here first. Okay. Right. I will hold you to that. Don't make me call y'all like Silverman now.
Okay. Never that. Hold me to that, Pastor Mike.
All right. Until next time, we will see you next week Next week.
Pause real quick. If you're from DC or you love DC, this one's for you. Welcome to the People's Voice DC, a podcast where the city speaks for itself. Not just politics, not just headlines. We're talking real life, community life, DC life. From the metro rides to the murals on the walls, from classrooms to corner stores, from church basements to community meetings. This is where conversations actually happen. We talk about what matters: housing and money, mental health and healing, culture, music and creativity, faith, purpose, and finding your way, relationships, parenting, and growing up in the city. Yeah, we talk politics too, but only because policies affect our everyday lives. This show is presented by Rising Voices of Politics and founded by Reverend Michael Campbell with one goal in mind: give the people the mic. And when we say the people, we mean everybody. Young folks with big ideas, creatives with something to say, parents holding it down, leaders in the making, and anyone who's ever felt like their voice didn't matter. Trust, it does. No fake debates, no talking down, no boring energy, just real conversations, good vibes, and perspectives that feel like home. Catch us live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on YouTube and social media by searching The People's Voice, DC, or Rising Voices of Politics. Miss the live show? It drops the same night at risingvoicesdc.org, and you can listen anytime on Spotify. So whether you're on your phone, in the car, in the dorm, or just trying to feel connected, tap in, tune in, and be part of something bigger. This is The People's Voice, DC. The city, the culture, the